Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sports Fall. Jersey Joe Archino back here, and the first 3 weekends of this current Premier League season are now in the books, and it really does seem like 3 is the number because only 3 clubs have the full 9 points and have not lost a match yet to this point. Manchester City, Chelsea, and Man United have really proclaimed themselves through their play as the top clubs so far during the season. I don't think there's any question about it, and I don't think there's any surprise about it. We all kind of knew that the Manchester clubs were going to be the ones that define this season, and Chelsea's path seemed very certain as well. Maybe we weren't as sure about some of their holes defensively and some other things, but it really seems like this Premier League season from the early onset, it's shaping up to show us that it's the year of the manager. The return of the great manager is going to be what dictates this season, and that's why there's no surprise at who is at the top. Pep Guardiola with Man City, you have Antonio Conte with Chelsea, and then of course the one and only Jose Mourinho at Man United. All of them as good as it gets, all of them tactically sound, all of them bring energy in a direction that no one else can replicate, and it's the reason why their clubs are in the positions they are now. But I think you go up and down the list with each and every one. Of course, Chelsea with their 3-0 win over Burnley. Obviously, the biggest thing for Chelsea has to be Eden Hazard. Last season, we all kind of asked the question, what happened to Eden Hazard? Where did Eden Hazard go from a season ago where he was the driving force behind Chelsea's Premier League title victory? But I think now when we look at it, you're seeing that same Eden Hazard that we all knew and loved, and really just you look at the way that he's moving so fluidly and the way he's able to use his speed and bounce in and around defenders and just the way he matriculates the ball. He is his old self again. And largely, I think the one thing that Conte has that maybe not even Guardiola or Mourinho has is just the way that he's able to rally everyone to his side. I mean, I talked about this in last week's segment right after the weekend 2 of the matches. You just look at him and the Italian influence and the Italian style that he has, and he's so animated. He gets, his energy is so contagious, and I think that rubs off on his players because it's one thing to be a manager like him, and we know Antonio Conte is a very demanding manager. He demands a lot from his players tactically when it comes to preparing for matches, taking care of your body, the things that he doesn't allow. But I think it makes it easier when you're a player trying to buy into his system, when you see how much he cares, and he wears that on his sleeves, and you could just see the energy, the outpouring of just uncontrollable joy and emotion. And Chelsea has given him a lot of reason to have joy and emotion with their start this season. To me, I thought match week 1, I still like Chelsea the best, even with the way that Liverpool went at Anfield and beat Arsenal. I still loved what Chelsea did, and one of the things you have to love about Chelsea is they really do have that advantage when it comes to trying to win this title this season, because Man City, of course, they have the added responsibilities of playing in the Champions League. Man United also has the added responsibility of playing in the Europa League. But Chelsea, their sole focus is on the Premier League, and I think Antonio Conte has shown already that he has this Chelsea side clicking on all cylinders. He's as good as it gets. His best player, Eden Hazard, looks like he has found his gold former self again. Everything for Chelsea is just looking too perfect right now. But Man City and Man United also not very far behind. We'll go next to Man United, who pulled out a 1-0 win against Hull. And Hull, one of those clubs, they start their season perfectly as well. So much just outside noise happening with Hull right now, with Sam Allardyce taking the England job and everything else. But they started the season on a very, very convincing note. They handed Leicester City a loss, which I don't think any of us expected. And in this game, they held United scoreless for the vast majority. It just happened to be a great pass by Rooney into the box, and Marcus Rashford is right there to tip it in. And it's one of those things now where, although United kind of had to sweat it out a little bit in this match, it kind of, to me, was symbolic of the direction the club is going. And you had the star guy in Wayne Rooney, who's been there for so long, has been built such a solid foundation for himself at that club, which has as good a foundation as there is ever going to be. And he passes it to the young gun, the young stud, Marcus Rashford. And it just kind of all culminates in that excitement is back for Man United. And the excitement has been back all summer. Zlatan Ibrahimovic was the first piece of the puzzle. Jose Mourinho was a monster addition to all of that. Paul Pogba, the most expensive transfer fee of all time. He added so much more of that. And I just think that excitement, that luster was missing from the club the last 2 seasons under Louis van Gaal. And you can't be Man United and be boring, but they are anything but boring this season. They have such a good mix of a little bit of youth, and they have a lot of experience in some of the other areas. You have Paul Pogba, so young, 23 years old. Marcus Rashford, so young. He's only getting better. And then you still have the veteran touches of a guy like Zlatan at 34 years old. You have Wayne Rooney, who's, I don't want to call him one of the older guys, but he's been around the block. He's one of the veterans on this club, and no question about it, he's helping. And when you have that nice infusion of the veteran presence with the young talent that you can see continue to get better and better, United has that perfect mix right now. And again, a perfect start for them to the season. The interesting thing for me is I thought all along that these top clubs, it was probably going to take a couple months for the clubs to really look like the mirror image of what the managers had in mind for them. And I still think that it's going to take time before they look like the perfect version of what these big-time managers wanted. But you have to be so happy with what they have shown to this point. I mean, it really does look so fluid on all fronts for all of these clubs. And Manchester City, I think, is one of those ones where you look at them and clearly the attack has not been a concern at any point this season. Raheem Sterling looks tremendous. I mean, he has gotten off really to a really good start to this season. And last season it was a little bit of an adjustment for him to make. He didn't start off on the best note, then he started to find his form a little bit, and then it just dropped off. This summer, we all know the struggles he had in Euro 2016, but at the start of this season, he has been anything but remarkable, and he really has played so well. He looks so poised and just in such control when he has the ball now. He can use his pace, use his technical skill, his speed, all the things that he does well, and he came down with the goals for Man City. So you have to be very happy with what you've seen from Raheem Sterling. For a player as young as he is, you needed him to get off to a start like this for a new manager in Pep Guardiola, just for his confidence sake. And Pep backed him all along, even in Euro 2016. He gave him the phone call after just to make sure that his confidence wasn't too shaken. And for him, I think his confidence has to be very high right now because he has been absolutely fantastic. Sergio Aguero obviously has been terrific at the start of this season as well. And David Silva, of course, I think I saw an article where someone kind of said that he was the real magician behind the City's 3-1 win against West Ham, and that usually is the case. I don't think David Silva sometimes is ever going to get the level of maybe praise that the Sergio Agueros and the other big flashy players will get, but there's no question that David Silva is the driving force behind anything that City wants to do. Just the way he's just sets up everything for that team. Kevin De Bruyne had a beautiful, beautiful ball in, which led to a goal. I think if you're Pep Guardiola, from the attacking standpoint, which we know he loves to play, he loves to control the ball, he loves to just have the pace and all those other things. City looks so fluid on that front, and of course, the one thing that I have heard brought up is that City hasn't been able to have a clean sheet in their first 3 matches. But I don't think that's really much of a concern. Obviously, Willy Caballero, we know, is not the permanent guy there. Claudio Bravo coming in there this week. We knew he wasn't going to be able to start this weekend for Manchester City. So once Claudio Bravo was in there, the clean sheets will come. To me, that's not really an issue because you're getting those wins. Your attack is fluid. We know the way that Pep wants to play, and from an attacking standpoint, Manchester City has shown exactly what Pep wants to have. And obviously, we go to the international break, and when we come back, Man United, Man City. Such an early preview of what these clubs are right now, and I think it's great from a fan standpoint, because what we see them play against each other and look like now, it will be totally different when they play against each other again. I think they play against each other later in the year, maybe in February, something like that. But it's going to be such a nice measuring stick to compare what the two clubs are looking like right now, 4 weekends into the season, and then when you judge it much later, because these clubs are going off to such great starts, but they're only going to get better and better from here, especially with City now having a solidified goalkeeper in Claudio Bravo. You know their attack's going to get better. I hope their defense gets better, because there is another thing that you kind of think might be a little shaky for City. It's probably been their defending, which last season was also not great. But it's been a little bit better at the start of the season, and a given time, I think Pep will correct that even further. But Chelsea, Man United, Man City, undoubtedly the clubs to beat, and it is all the responsibility and the credit. I think obviously the players are the ones who get the result on the field, but this is going to be the year where the managers are the driving force behind it. And Conte, Guardiola, Mourinho, there's no doubt in my mind that they're the ones who are. I think it's going to stay like this. Again, it's so early, but when I did my Premier League table ranking preview special leading up to the season, basically the way I had it was City as the champion, United right behind in second. I had Arsenal in 3, and if I could do it all over again, I would have switched Chelsea with them. Even though Arsenal is able to pull out a win this weekend, 3-1 against Watford, we know that Arsene Wenger says he's going to be able to spend and bring in some players. It seems like there's verbal agreements between the players they've been talking to in the club, but again, I just think Arsenal time is up kind of for Arsene Wenger and the things that he's trying to do with Arsenal. It's kind of a new day in the Premier League. It's the same faces we've been seeing, but it's new guys at the helm of those places, and they are in control of the Premier League destiny. Until the next time, though, Jersey Joe Archino here with the Sports Vault. You can follow me on Twitter at Joe Archino and on Instagram Jersey_Joe_Archino, and I'll catch everybody in the next episode.